YouTube, Mark Kaufman here, and today I thought I would show you some of my Victoria marked Swiss Army knives. Now these are Victorinox knives that date from 1943 to 1970, but I've actually gathered that these come from probably the mid-60s to 1970. Victorinox actually stopped marking their knives Victoria on the back tang at 1970. So they did that from 1943 to 1970. Now, for me, I have ranged these to be mid-60s to 1970 based upon the tools, the scales, and the springs, and the files. So you can use the tool sets that you have and the way the tools are actually made to gauge where your knife was actually made. So first off, we have a secretary. I believe this is a secretary or it's a pocket pal, but this one is from the mid-60s, and this one here is an A-LOX. But what you will notice here is it actually has a nickel silver bail or shackle on the back. Relatively good condition considering its age. Now this model had a pen blade, and then it had a main blade, and then you can see here on the blade Victorinox Switzerland stainless roast fry, and then on the back you can see Victoria. So this one here is I'm gauging this one to be about in the mid-60s, maybe 67, 65 or so. So that one is the Pocket Pal. I even probably think it even went by a different name. So if it did, I will put that in the description. But that is the first one. And yes, I will say this, the scales are in a little rough shape, but considering its age, to have all that color still there, that's pretty great. Now this one here is called the Director, and this one is actually branded by Hofritz. So we've got Hofritz Switzerland stainless. Then on the back we have Victoria with the crossbow. And this one is in really good condition. I have refurbished this one, but this one is a Director. You essentially have the same tool set as an Executive. You have the orange peeler, small flathead screwdriver there. Then you have your pen blade right here. And then you have your scissors. Now these scissors are very, very interesting. I feel like Victorinox scissors back in the 60s and 70s had more angles to them. They had a more defined shape than they do now. So let me show you really quick what a modern set of, you know what, let me show you. You're getting kind of a sneak peek here. This is one that I'm refurbishing right now and don't have the scales for yet. But this is an Executive from the 90s. And then you have the scissors from the late 60s. So you can see kind of the difference in the manufacturing there. So you got a little bit of a sneak peek of what I'm working on back there. But these scissors are in really good condition, and the spring has a lot of reactivity to it. So then we've got that, and then we have the nail file and nail cleaner and a bunch of oil. Sorry about that. But these Directors are really, really beautiful because of these metal scales. And under here, it essentially looks just like this, except you don't have these giant rivets. Victorinox actually have these going completely flush, and they just peen them into place. So then you get a very nice thin knife in the end of it all. So these actually did come with a key ring, and they also came with plaques where you could put a company name or your initials. So that is the Director. Here, this actually went by the name of a Commander from what I've found, and then it ended up going to be a Classic. So this one is a older one, but it has Victoria stamped right there. And I picked this one up on eBay for $8. So that's not a bad price for a little bit of history. And I've actually gone and put this one on a keychain for the house keys. And I have sharpened the scissors on this here. Scissors sharpened up very well. You can see the new bevel there. The interesting thing about this one is the screw on this almost wasn't really completed. So disassembling these scissors really is a no-go. I had to replace the spring because it was the incorrect one. So we've got a modern spring there. But this one here dates from probably the late 60s. So I've already shown you the blade, and here is the nail file. You can see it has kind of a beveled edge tip on there. And then you've got the older style knurling for the nail file. Very similar to the Directors. So that was a new addition. This is also a new addition. This is a Bijou. But what's special about this Bijou is it has no scale tools. I've very rarely seen these without scale tools, and personally I actually really like the Bijou without the scale tools because it's just a very simple look. It's very fluid, very complete, and this is a knife that I can just throw in my back pocket and not really worry about it. I have chosen to keep this one and use it because I picked it up for such a good price, and there's another reason why I'm not selling it. So if you can look there at the shield, it looks slightly canted to one side, and that's actually because it's not perfectly centered. So on the right is a Bijou that is actually not perfectly centered within the scale, but it's not crooked. You can see how this one kind of tilts to the left there. So this kind of means that this may have been one that kind of just made it through the QC. I mean, it's not a really big deal that it's a little crooked, but it's something you don't see very often with Victorinox knives. Now, with the Bijou, you get your small blade. Then you get your Victoria insignia there. And just like that one, you get the older style nail file knurling, which is very effective compared to the modern one. And then on this one, we have very simple scissors. We have the single leaf spring here. This is actually a period correct leaf spring. And this one I've actually tightened up a little bit, and there's a little bit of oil because I do use this one. And one thing I've noticed with these older Bijous is the spring tension on these is substantially stronger than 58mm knives that are made now. I don't know why that is, but I think it has to do with the thickness of the springs. I'm going to keep us zoomed in here, but this is another Bijou. This is probably from the late 60s, but this one actually has the scale tools. It has a nickel silver tweezer there. So there's the nickel silver tweezer. Then it has its toothpick. And on this one, same thing. You've got Victoria. You got a nicely polished blade. And then you have your nail file with the older filings. And then you have your scissors with a little bit of oil oozing out of there. But these scissors here are a little looser, but I just haven't done anything with that since I am actually selling this one. So next up is another Bijou. And this is a Victoria marked Bijou yet again. And then there's Victorinox Switzerland stainless steel roast fry. And over here is your nail file again. But what's interesting about this one is it came with the older spring. Now, I actually suspect this one was just replaced, and whoever owned it replaced it and wanted to have a new spring for it. But I've actually found representational photos of this model with this type of spring in the late 70s. So in the 70s, in the late 70s, Victorinox actually switched over from nickel silver to stainless steel shields. And these newer springs were actually introduced into the late 60s. So these springs kind of mix match into older models, newer models, and sometimes that is because they were replaced. So I thought you guys would really enjoy seeing these older Victorinox knives. These are the oldest ones I have on hand. And I have to say, these are quite interesting knives if you can grab them. I have a few more Victoria mark knives coming in the mail, but it's just I thought I would show off what I have right now. Now, to be clear, you have to be quite diligent when you're looking for these, because most of the time when you're looking for these, people don't even mark that they are Victoria. They just put Victorinox. Or they just say it's a Victoria knife, but they don't say it's Victorinox. So when you're searching for these, you can put Victoria or Victorinox, Victorinox, Victoria, and sometimes that can help you actually find these in the wild. So I thought you guys would enjoy seeing these. If you did, let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get a few more videos out before the end of the year. And I will say that some of these knives that I wanted to do videos on have gotten away from me. So till the next one, I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.